Hi everybody and welcome back to ZOHO Box course. Here is some main points we are talk about today. The first, main types of documents used to record expenses and purchases. The second, recording techniques used for recording expenses, fixed assets and items. And the third point today is explaining different cases in recording expenses, bills, and all the documents related to that point or that cycle, purchases cycle. So let's first discuss main types of documents used to record purchases and expenses in ZOHO Box. As you see here, we have two main documents, and when we're talking about expenses and purchases, here we mean how to record expenses, fixed assets, and inventory or items. So what are the main documents which used to record that kind of transactions? We have two main documents. The first one called expenses, the second called bills. What is the main difference between that two kinds or that two documents? The first one, expenses, used for cash transactions. Cash transactions which related to expenses, fixed assets, inventory. That means if we buy an asset and we paid cash, in this case we will use expense document to record this transaction. But if I bought the same item, fixed asset, and the payment will be later, in this case I have to use bill documents to record this transaction. So in expenses or in expense document, the payment immediately in the same time of buying. But when we talking about bills, the payment should be later or could be later, and in this case accounts payable will be increased in the balance sheet. This is the first thing. The second thing today is the methods which we use to record expenses and bills. Actually, we have two main methods to record expenses or bills. And here we have to identify the kind or the type of a transaction to decide if I have to use expense or recurring expense. And also the same thing in bills. I have to decide to use bill or recurring bill. What is the difference between expense and recurring expense, and also between bill and recurring bill? The main difference between expense and recurring expense is the number of repetitions. So in the case of transaction will repeated only one time, in this case I have to use expense. But when this transaction will be repeated in the same condition more than one time, for example, weekly, monthly, semi-annually, so in this case we have to use recurring expense. So transactions, the same thing is related to bills. When this bill is related to one person or one customer, it will not be repeated more than one time. In this case, I will use bill, but if this bill related, for example, to agreement with our vendors, that monthly he should provide us in specific items and the quantities. In this case, we have to record recurring bill. So transactions that repeated more than one time and it has the same vendor, items, quantity, prices, and repeated period, we in this case should create recurring expense or recurring bill according to the payment. If the payment is immediately, we have to prepare recurring expense, but if the payment should be later or could be later, in this case we prepare recurring bill. Now, for deep understanding, let's have a look at the billing cycle. The billing cycle, as you see here in the chart, as you see, billing cycle contains more than one element. And the first step in this chart or in this cycle is to create purchase order. What we mean by purchase order? Purchase order means you sent to your vendor a document detailing the items you wish to purchase, their restriction, quantities, and agreed pricing. Once this purchasing order approved by your inventor, in this case, it could be converted to bill. In that case, all the details which recorded in a purchase order automatically move to bill. You have to keep in your mind that purchase order document doesn't affect accounts balances, but bill does. Also, you have to be aware that we can create a bill directly on ZOHO without purchase order. So after preparing the bill and receiving the goods, there are two choices here. The first one, purchases return for any reason. defect items, or the quality of the items which received, it caused return to our vendor. And the return, also we have two cases in returns, purchases returns. It could be partially if some items or some units return to vendor, but also the other case could be fully returns if all the items and the quantities return to our vendor. The second case is payment. Here also payment have two forms. The first one, partially payment, in case of payment, an amount is less than the total amount. This is partially payment, or fully payment if you have if you pay all the amounts required to our vendor. In this case, we classify it as fully payment for our vendor. Here, if we if purchases return to vendor before payment, in this case there is no something called refund transaction. There is no refund transaction if the returns performed before payment. But if the return performed after payment, as in this example, in this case, this is require additional processing to receive back your money. So refund transaction could be in case that the purchases return to our vendor after we fully paid the bill amount. Now let's go to ZOHO and to see how we can manipulate all the transactions related to expenses and purchases. So here we have to go to purchases menu and click it. As you see, under this menu we have vendors, expenses, recurring expenses, purchase orders, bills, payments made, recurring bills, and vendor credits. So we discussed how to add vendors before. So let's go to expense. Click expenses and let's see record expense. As you see here, we have the first thing to identify the branch. So we select head branch, and also you have to identify the date. By default, the today date here, and expense account. We have to choose from the list. For example, we have to record IT and internet expenses. Here also you have to identify the amount, for example, and the currency and the amount. So you can choose the currency. If you paid this expense by by currency other than the base currency, you can select from the list here, and after that you have to record the amount. So tax, okay, VAT tax. Here, after you choose your tax, you have to identify if this amount include the tax or exclude the tax. In this example, tax inclusive. And also you have to identify the payment method, how you did this payment. In this example, let's see, or let's select cash. And if you want to identify the vendor, also you can choose from here. And if there is any references or any reference like the document number or something like this, and if you have additional notes to add, okay, you can add it. Customer name, I think that's all the details required to fill in that document. After that, you click save and renew, or save. The expense was recorded, and this is the details. So from the list of expenses, IT and internet expenses, 100 shekel, and this is the details. As you see, this is the amount, cash, uh, tax, and reference number. If you want to edit, you can click here for this icon, and the screen will open again, and you can make any changes in this expense document. Okay, also you can make this expense as a recurring expense. If I make, for example, if I had an agreement with telecommunication company, uh, monthly payment 100 shekel. In this case, I can make it a recurring expense. A recurring expense, that means automatically every month or every week, ZOHO Box will automatically record this transaction. So we will discuss it later. So this is how we can record expenses. Let's move down and choose recurring expenses. Recurring expenses, add a new recurring expense, and the first thing is to profile name. For example, monthly rent expense, and head office. Repeat every. Here we have to identify the period. So as we explain here, that monthly, for that we have to choose repeat every month. Start date, for example, 1 January 2025, and end on, for example, end on the contract is for 1 year, so it will be ended at 31 of December. Expense account. So what is the account here? We can search rent expense. Yes, we choose this, and moving down, also identify the amount. For example, we paid this amount, and also we have to identify tax inclusive. Okay, paid through, we have to choose one. For example, we paid it by Al Quds Bank. The vendor, if you want to add the vendor name here, we can add a new vendor, the owner, for example, of the building. We can Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. And here also the same thing, company name. No, it related to Muhammad Ali. And okay, we can later filling all the details and hit save. So Muhammad Ali, and if we can set that monthly according to contract, according to contract number 4785, and go down and save. So, and the case here is what? Active. All the details which entered here, you can make an edit, or you can create expense or something like this. So in this case, why we choose recurring expenses? Because we have or the conditions which related to recurring expenses was met here, or were met here. Like what? The same vendor, the same amount, the same time frame, the same expense or the same account. For that, we have to use recurring expense. Now, let's override purchase order, and we will come back to that point, but let's go directly to bills and to see how we can prepare the bills in ZOHO. Click bills, create a bill. As you see here, the first thing we have to identify is your vendor. Let's choose XYZ company, and the branch also you can choose it. Bill number. As you know, bills consider as internal or external document. Yes, we consider it as external document. So we receive bills from our vendors. So the bill, there are a minimum information should be entered in the bill, and the bill number is the very important point in this document. So after you receive the document or the bill from your customer, your vendor, you have to identify the bill number and to enter it to your ZOHO box. So let's assume that number. Also, you have to identify the date. Let's choose this date, a due date, due date and payment term. Let's click this menu and you have to choose from that criteria. If I choose net 30, so automatically due date will change according to our choices in payment terms. Okay. Subject, if you have to enter some details, for example, um, uh, purchasing, um, purchase order, purchase order for our customers. Okay. Also, you have to select the tax, exclusive, inclusive. Let's say that tax exclusive. Okay. At the transaction level, you can also choose at line item level. So go down for item table and here item details. When we prepare bill, we said before that we can use bill to record expenses, purchases or purchases here classify to two things. The first thing is fixed assets purchases and the items purchases. So if we recording to if we recording to choose the expenses or fixed assets, we have to click here and to identify the account which affected by this transaction. So from the account we can choose the expenses accounts and fixed assets accounts, but when we purchase items or products or inventory, we have to identify the details which related to our inventory from the list of item details. So you can add here new item or you can choose from this list, and let's here choose iPhone 16. As you see by default, let's check this details. Quantity, stock on hand, we have 12. The rate is 35.50 and tax included. The customer, you can change this amount. For example, I have to if the price here or let's go back here, the quantity, what are the quantity of this item included in the bill. Let's assume that we have 5 units and the rate for every unit is 3500. tax included. Okay. And also you can add a new one. For example, iPhone 16 Pro Max, and also you have to identify the quantity. For example, we have 4 and the rate is 3700, and that's enough. So if I have some if I have a discount, we can choose if the discount is a percent or is amount. So we have to choose one from those alternatives, and after that we record. For example, if I have a percent, so 2% is a discount for that bill. So you have to discount account, um, purchase discount. We choose purchase discount, and also as you see here, that the total amount here and the discount. And after we also calculated the tax VAT, so the total amount for that bill is this amount. And after that, if there is more details, you can record here. And after that, go down, save as a draft. If this bill not finished yet, and we can return back to complete this bill, we can save it as a draft. But save as open, so all the details here in this case are completed, and I need to activate this bill in Zoho Box. So in this case we complete all the details, so save as open. Look at XYZ company, you can make edit here, or you can choose print, or to upload that document as a PDF form. And as you know here, as you see, IUG, this is the details, the bill number, open, and this is the details of the items purchased by this bill. So iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Pro Max, and also the other details. We have a discount and taxes, and the total due amount for our vendor is as you see here. So how we can make a payment for that in the due date. In the due date, we can click the bill, and go here and record payment. So automatically the total amount recorded in payment made, and the payment date, or also here. And we have to choose the method of payment, cash or by banks, and click after that, click save. Okay, so this is the case of record a bill for purchasing item. But let's have another example. New bill, click new bill, and your vendor is Mavlut, and also bill number you can choose, and the date also due net 15. Okay, and go down, and in this case we have to choose expense account, like what, um, expenses, for example, advertising and marketing, and quantity one, and this amount equal, for example, 2000, and also VAT, customer detail, if we have customer detail. So for example, there is no discount in this case, and our tax, as you see here, tax exclusive, so we have the total will be more than this amount. So the total will be this amount, and this is due during 15 days. So like this, in this case, or in this manner, we can record the expenses in ZOHO, and go down, save as, open. In this case, we have all the details which related to the bill. If we have some problems in this, you can go back, edit, and go back, and you can make any changing in this account. Okay. To get assurance that your accounting processing is good, so you can go down also, and to see the journal which recorded in ZOHO books according to this bill. So as you see here, accounts payable credit by this amount, advertising and marketing by 2000, and tax payable with this amount 320, and the total credit amount is equal with total debt amount. So in this case, we get assurance that our processing for that expense is correctly recorded in ZOHO box. So this is bills, and let's go to recurring bills, and to see how we can create recurring bill. Okay. Vendor name, for example, we have to choose Hazim Salah, and this is the office. A profile name, for example, a profile name, here we can call it weekly. uh, shipping for, or weekly iPhone 16 shipping. Okay, repeat every week, because we said weekly, or identified weekly, and start on, you end on, for example, you can choose that also in on December so 13, we have an agreement for buying. For example, we have agreement with Hazem Salah to provide us every week, for example, two units of iPhone 16. Here we have to identify the item, and also here the quantity. We have two in the rate, for example, and here tax excluded, because we have a long period or a long agreement with Salah. He gives us 2% as a discount, and we have to select the discount account, the purchase discount, and also go down and click save. So automatically every week Zoho Box automatically will create a new bill in the same details or in the same items and the quantity, prices, vendor. So this for that we choose recurring bill, because this action is repeated more than one time, and it will be, in our case, approximately 52 times in a year. For that we have to create a recurring bill. Okay. Vendor credits, we use vendor credits for purchases return. So let's go back to bills. You can choose this, for example, this one or this one. Yes, approximately this one. And so here vendor credits. There are two methods to create vendor credits. The first one, from purchases vendor credits, and click this and create vendor credit. This is the first method, but actually I prefer the second method. The second method, we go back to bills and choose the bill which we will return some of items or units purchases or purchased. Click here. After clicking, you can go here. For example, this is related to what? iPhone. Yes, okay. Click this 3 points and create vendor credits. Click it. Okay, proceed. And here all the details which we entered in the bill automatically appeared here. We can make some changes for quantities and for items. So this, for example, credit note number, and go down. For example, we return only here from iPhone 16, we returned only 2 units, and the same thing for iPhone 16 Pro, we also return 1 unit only. So here we choose the units, the number of units returned to our vendor, and the details, other details, automatically will be changed. So you have to go here and to make save. So go down. So we return 2 units from iPhone 16 and 1 unit from iPhone 16 Pro Max, and this is the amount. So also to see our processing is correct or not, we go to reports and scroll down. Inventory summary. As you see here, iPhone 16 and 16 Pro Max, the total quantity entered in our stores is this, and quantity out, as you see, 2 units and 1 here. Stock on hand is the net amount, or the net quantity here, and also the returned items deducted from the quantity entered in our stores, and the net equal this amount. Also to see the effect of this purchase return for our vendors, click vendors, choose this XYZ company, click it, and as you see here, this is the details, all the details which entered. In this date we create a contact person. 1 of January we add a bill, and this is the total amount of the bill, and also after that we record vendor credit number, and this amount will be reduced or deducted from this vendor account. So the last thing today is the payment. The same as vendor credits, we can make payments from here, or we make payments directly, which related to the bills or expenses. Sorry, bills, only bills. So if you want to go, click here, choose this one, and make this bill, click record payment, and choose the amounts, and by default, as you see here, and the payment, okay, cash or other methods you can choose. Let's assume that payment performed cash, and go. So here you have to give your attention here the amount required, and after that after you get assurance about all the details above, you can make save. As you see here, the due balance due is 0 after we make payment for that bill. The due amount is equal 0. In this case, the status for this document is converted to paid, but the others, as you see here, partially paid, and here is open. There is no payments made for that bill. For that, open is recorded here. Okay, that's all today. See you later in the next video. Bye bye.